Wow, Andy, I hadn't seen these names for the longest time.
I know.
Blackhawk, Soldier Wu, Cognac Wine, Godka One, Onion Head.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's been a while since we've seen these guys, and I'm so glad they're back because, you know, early on in this first season and since the open season, they've always been a team to put on a show. They're never afraid to engage. They're not afraid to just put it in their enemy's face and take the fight to them. And look at this early on. They're actually the ones who coined this strategy. They really like, especially on airfield, to send their at least 1 or 2 tanks up to this hilltop and then hit those incoming or retreating enemies on the opposing side.
Yeah, to the northern pass, of course, a strategy that was first implemented in an official game by the Night Eagles, and which works wonders, matter of fact. And quickly taking a look at their tank selection, where it's pretty even on both sides. It's just, I'd say that, well, you've got Angel X beat with a T69 when it comes to You Are Dead. You also have Cognac Wine with his 1390 and 3 heavy tanks, pretty much. So I guess a wee bit more versatility, because on the other side it's pretty much the same lineup when it comes to Insidious Gaming. They just decided to go for an extra MX-5100.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, not a huge difference in that tank lineup, but now you can see Insidious Gaming, they have gone to this northern pass area, and when they're here, it's not like a lot of teams. I mean, even last week we saw a lot of this happen when one team would go for the northern pass and the other team would go for the hilltop, and then we'd see battles between like these two ledges that come off of the high points, and then they'd be just poking each other from long range. And we might see that this set, but Insidious Gaming, they're expecting You Are Dead to be up there, so that's why they actually went for this area right now.
Yeah, indeed. And once again, like the Night Eagles have shown us on plenty of occasions, squatting that hill, that flat hill, like next to the water themselves, gives you some really nice angles. Yeah, just get a crack at those tanks, heavier tanks, like trying to sort of maneuver the northern pass. Especially there's like, if you look at the mini map here, I'd say on the 6th line, E6, I'd say there's like this huge intersection amongst the rocks to the northern pass, where basically for about a split second as you try to move, like progress towards the east, you will get vulnerable.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tanks usually squatting down south get shooting opportunities at that moment. So
yeah, and actually this is the ledge that I was talking about, that's right north of the ledge on the hill. And this is where a lot of times we see these long-range battles go out, is, you know, these tanks post up on this ledge here, they poke their head out of cover, get a shot off, and then come back under cover. And this probably usually goes on for a couple minutes at least, until, of course, you know, one team takes enough damage for that team to just full-on engage and then finish them off.
That's true. What I'm really liking, you can't see it on your screen right now because I'm checking out the observer, but UAD are sending a couple of tanks to the south, like maneuvering like right next to the water on the beach.
Yeah, they're actually going way into enemy territory.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now.
So right now they actually have crossed. They should be spotted by that T1 down south, possibly.
Yeah.
But I really do like this maneuver because it's going to give them like more angle to actually go for a surrounding maneuver.
But
probably
Insidious Gaming are pushing at the same time.
They are pushing at the same time as well. So
I don't know how this is actually going to work out for You Are Dead, because they have split up their forces. I mean, not too far. I mean, they'll still be close enough to back each other up if it comes to a firefight. But just the fact that they have, you know, sent a couple of their tanks. You can't see it right now, but they have about 3 tanks up on the hilltop, and then they have 2 of their other tanks right next to the Insidious Gaming starting position.
Well, they even like completely deserted their base here because basically they sent their
and they've been spotted now. Look at this. You Are Dead have been spotted.
Well, they totally have been spotted.
Oh, and it's taken out.
Yeah, the T1 goes down, but Cognac 1 has been compromised in its move. And look at that, Legacy, Jana, Godka 1, and Angel X took some beating. As a matter of fact, nothing too major. Like I'd say about each 20% down their hit points, but yeah, it looks like the T1s are going to go for base capture, but I'm not sure that that's really wise because
yeah, Insidious Gaming have actually retreated from that.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So you know, if for instance UAD decides to push here and capture the base, try to bully them, so their way through, they're going to get a nasty surprise. So
and the base capture has also been started, so Insidious Gaming, they're gonna have to come back to this. All they gotta be careful though are those couple tanks, those 3 actually tier 8 tanks up on the hilltop that will be able to provide cover damage, and like there'll be snipers for those other members.
Yeah, and you got one completely to the southwest as well. It's probably that T69, I can't be sure, but Yeah, right now, like, yeah, it's Soldier Wu. Soldier Wu here with actually it's a 5100. But he's got to watch out though. I would have sent that T69 and not that 5100. I would have left that 5100 on the island, pretty much in the middle.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, I definitely would have put my more heavily armored tanks to this push here.
Yeah, or even the T32. You know what I mean? Because obviously that tank would have to just like deal with the blunt force of the Insidious game troops. So yeah, choosing the weakest armored tank to actually do that. Look at that Soldier Wu now being just
Black Hawk is taken out as well. Both T1s are down.
Yeah, exactly.
Soldier Wu gonna get taken out here.
Yeah, he does, exactly. I mean, I'm not too surprised. He did inflict Elite some damage, but there was no way he could withstand to a one-on-one situation like this, pretty much. So
yeah, the big mistake that Yordead made here was sending the wrong tanks to that push.
Yeah,
they should have sent those. Honestly, they should have sent both T32s and kept the T69 and the AMX50 back the hill as snipers, because the T69 and AMX50 there are much better snipers than those T32s. Just because, first of all, they have an autoloader that can dish out more damage, and their scope range is a lot better as well. So I mean, and plus the T32s are more heavily armored, so they can take more of a beating. And because they sent that AMX50 there to like almost the front line, Soldier Wu couldn't take the damage and he went down, and now his team has a 9 tier point disadvantage. And unless Cognac Wine goes down here, you know,
if Cognac Wine goes down, it'd be even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
No, because Cognac Wine was also sent to cover for the T1s, and you know what? I completely agree with you. It's just arguably a really wrong choice of tanks. Well, Cognac Wine maybe, because he does have the mobility, and he was the one to actually take care of that T1 that was guarding the base. So fair enough, but yeah, I have to agree with you. Definitely sending Soldier Wu on his 5100 was a poor decision. Honestly, even Angel X with his T69 would have fared better, and would have had the option of retreating. But I have to agree with you on that one. I probably would have been wiser to send a T32.
Yeah, at least one.
Exactly, like instead of
yeah. And then they could use Cognac Wine to do more scouting and more flanking maneuvers as well, or maybe go for that heavy tank up there on the northern pass, you know, on Insidious Gaming side. So.
Even more to the point, I just think that even that attempt to capture the base so prematurely after they had been spawned, it was kind of rash as well. They should have been just quite happy and take care of the T1 and then retreat. You know, patience is key out there. It's not about like retreating because you know you can't win the fight, but I think it's a lot more about retreating when you know that your enemy knows exactly.
One's in trouble here. The Gokha one's it's done.
It's pretty much game over now. Yeah, and an extra T32 goes down, and let's not forget Cognac Wine is barely alive as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, Cognac Wine's probably like one shot away from dying. Same with, I think Angel Beats and Legacy are quite healthy.
Yeah, Angel X and Legacy are still fine, but they're still. It's like essentially it's a 2-on-5.
Yeah. Essentially,
yeah, because except Elite, nobody really took any damage whatsoever on the Insidious side.
Yeah, and this reminds me of You Are Dead, or not You Are Dead, of the Night Eagles as well. Because even though the Night Eagles also like to do a similar strategy where they go for the hilltop. Like sometimes we see them get too aggressive, and they're not patient enough to just wait for the right opportunity to push. And then when they push prematurely, what happens is that it gives the enemy team just insurmountable amount of time just to surround them and get just the perfect positions on just a counter defensive maneuver. So I mean, if you want to go for this kind of play, then you definitely have, first of all, have vision and know exactly how far the enemy team is into your territory, and at the same time you have to have the right setup to actually